Morning. I was most recently asked to speak to the congregation on stewardship as our 2025 commitment campaign gets underway. Now, I'm not a speaker. I am not a speaker. I am a doer, a listener, a busy bee, and I am not a speaker. But I sat down to write this, and this is my message. My husband, Jim, was the speaker, and as we were dating in the Army at Fort Jackson, South Carolina, he told me that I was a good steward of my money, as I was the only person on base that he knew of that had money at the end of the month. So that was over 50 years ago. For me, it started at Pilgrim over 25 years ago, as my husband sought out a church that we might agree upon and the importance that it might bring as we were bringing up our 12-year-old daughter, Bonnie. And the church that he brought up, in the church he was brought up Catholic and I was brought up Protestant. And Jim had seen an ad in the newspaper for Pilgrim, and he attended with Bonnie that Sunday, and he liked what he saw, and I joined him the following Sunday with my work schedule at the hospital and together we liked what we saw and the message delivered by Pastor John Mingus, who was the pastor at the time. Pilgrim has remained with us, and our daughter was married here, and both our grandchildren were christened here, and a memorial service was held for my husband, and all was performed by Pastor Dave Brown. Pilgrim is priceless, and it is a priceless experience, the closeness of the love that only a small church can provide. And that's what Pilgrim has provided me with, a close-knit church family to grow together in faith as we learn to lean and trust God all the more. And now to gladly be a caretaker or steward, as it's defined, to Pilgrim, as we pass on to others what Pilgrim has provided for us. God's given gifts, be it its time, talents, or money, to use to serve God. Malachi 3:10 reads, "Bring the whole tithe into the storefront, that there may be food in my house. Test me in this, says the Lord Almighty, and see if I will not throw open the floodgates of heaven and pour out to the much blessing that there will not be room enough to store it." By bringing the whole tithe to the storehouse, God taught the Israelites about stewardship. By caring for people in this community, their generosity was a way of loving and serving those around him. If you've ever tried to give when you felt strapped, you may have discovered this truth. Giving is an act of trust. Again, when we are giving, be it time, talents, and money, we are making a choice to believe God will provide for our every need, no matter what. God challenges his people to trust him enough to give wholeheartedly, promising that in return, he would open the floodgates of heaven. So let us examine our generosity as are we holding back, or are we trusting God with all we have? Say yes to God's invitation to experience his provision in everything and even provide for others. Please give and add to the storehouse, which God will so richly provide. Thank you, and may the Lord bless you. Thank you.